Billie Eilish can't stop crying after Nat Wolff's $150 million surprise. The cameras were already rolling. The lights were dim, soft enough to create an intimate atmosphere, but bright enough to capture every single emotion, the kind of setting where nothing can be hidden. And that's exactly what made what happened next so powerful, so unforgettable. Because no one, not even Billie Eilish herself, was prepared for what Nat Wolff was about to do. It started like any other quiet evening. Billie had just wrapped up a long studio session. Her voice, still carrying the weight of emotion from hours of recording, echoed faintly in her mind as she stepped into what she thought would be a simple, low-key gathering. Close friends. A few familiar faces. Nothing out of the ordinary. But something felt off. There was a tension in the air. A silence that didn't quite match the moment. And then she saw him. Nat. Standing at the center of the room, dressed sharper than usual, his eyes locked on hers with a seriousness she hadn't seen before. Not playful. Not casual. Different. "Billie, can you come here for a second?" His voice was steady, but there was something beneath it. Something heavy. Billie hesitated. For a split second, her heart raced. Was something wrong? But she walked toward him anyway. Step by step. And with every step, the room seemed to grow quieter, like the world itself was holding its breath. Then Nat took a deep breath. And everything changed. "Before I say anything," he began, his voice slightly cracking now, "I need you to know, this isn't just about tonight. This is about everything. Everything we've been through. Everything we've built." Billie blinked, confused. Her eyes scanned the room. People were watching. Some already emotional. Some trying to hold back smiles. What is happening? And then Nat reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small object. But it wasn't a ring. Not yet. Instead, he turned to the side, and suddenly, a massive screen behind them flickered to life. A video began to play. Clips. Moments. Memories. Billie's voice filled the room as past performances played, scenes of her laughing, crying, creating, living. But woven into those clips were moments of Nat, supporting her, standing beside her, quietly being there when no one else noticed. Her hand slowly rose to her mouth. "Oh my God." Her voice barely came out. Tears began to form. And then came the words that broke her. Nat's voice, recorded earlier, echoed through the speakers. "She doesn't even realize how much she's changed my life, how every time she smiles, it feels like everything makes sense." At that point, Billie lost it. Tears streamed down her face, uncontrollably. Not the quiet kind. Not the kind you can hide. These were real. Deep. Overwhelming. And as the video ended, the room stayed silent for just a moment. Before Nat turned back to her. But this time, everything escalated. "Billie, what I'm about to do. I've been planning for a long time." He paused. And then, with a signal of his hand, the doors behind them opened. And what walked in next left everyone in complete shock. A team of professionals entered, carrying documents, screens, and a large presentation case. At first, Billie didn't understand. What is this?" Her voice trembled. Nat stepped closer. "This is everything." He opened the case. Inside were legal documents, contracts, and financial breakdowns that no one expected to see in a moment like this. And then he said it. "I've invested over $150 million into something that belongs to you." The room gasped. Billie froze. "What?" Her voice cracked harder this time. Nat continued, emotion pouring through every word. "A music platform. A creative studio. A foundation, all under your name. A place where artists like you, people who feel deeply, can create without limits. Billie shook her head, tears falling faster. No, no, you didn't. But he did. And in that moment, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the scale. It was about what it meant. He believed in her. At a level she never imagined. I wanted to give you something that could outlive both of us, Nat said softly. Something that proves how much you matter, not just to me, but to the world. Billie couldn't hold herself together anymore. She stepped forward. And collapsed into him. Crying. Sobbing. Completely overwhelmed. I don't deserve this, she whispered through tears. But Nat held her tighter. You deserve everything. The crowd erupted, but even that felt distant compared to the raw emotion between them. And then Nat reached into his pocket again. This time it was a ring. A real one. And as Billie slowly pulled back, still crying, still shaking, he dropped to one knee. Will you build this life with me? The question hung in the air. Time seemed to stop. Billie looked at him, really looked at him. And in that moment, everything made sense. The silence. The tension. The feeling that something was about to change forever. Because it was. And through tears, laughter, and disbelief, she nodded. Yes. Barely audible. But enough. And just like that, the room exploded into cheers. But Billie? She still couldn't stop crying. Because some moments are just too big for words. Absolutely, here's a very long, emotional, dramatic fictional YouTube-style script for your title. Billie Eilish can't stop crying after Nat Wolff's $150 million surprise. Full dramatic fictional story script for narration. Disclaimer: this story is entirely fictional and created for entertainment purposes only. It is not based on real events. Intro, hook. Nobody saw this coming. Not the fans. Not the internet. Not even Billie herself. Because what started as a quiet, ordinary evening in Los Angeles quickly turned into one of the most emotional, jaw-dropping, unforgettable moments of Billie Eilish's life. And when Nat Wolff revealed the truth behind his $150 million surprise, Billie completely broke down in tears. We're not talking about a simple gift. We're not talking about flowers, jewelry, or some flashy celebrity gesture. No. This was something so personal, so unexpected, and so deeply emotional that Billie reportedly couldn't even speak when she realized what Nat had done for her. And the moment she found out, she cried. Then cried harder. Then cried so much that even the people around her started tearing up. Because this wasn't just about money. This wasn't just about romance. This was about love. Sacrifice. Healing. And a promise so powerful, it changed everything. So what exactly did Nat Wolff do? Why was Billie Eilish left completely speechless? And what was hidden behind that shocking $150 million surprise that has everyone online saying this may be one of the wildest celebrity love stories ever imagined? Stay with me, because this story gets emotional fast. Part 1: Billie's emotional state before everything changed. Before the surprise. Before the tears. Before the internet exploded. Billie Eilish had reportedly been going through one of the most emotionally exhausting periods of her life. To the public, she still looked like Billie. Still iconic. Still stylish. Still carrying herself with that cool, mysterious energy fans have always loved. But behind closed doors, things felt different. Very different. According to this fictional story, Billie had become quieter. More withdrawn. More reflective. She was still showing up, still working, still trying to smile when she needed to. But the people closest to her could feel it. She was carrying something heavy. Not necessarily heartbreak. Not necessarily drama. But a kind of emotional fatigue